Welcome back, builders, to the Foundry by Forge College. First off, I've got to give a massive congratulations to all of you who just survived the CI/CD pipeline capstone project. Getting that automated testing and deployment workflow fully operational, yeah, that is no small feat, and you should be incredibly proud of that infrastructure you built. Today, though, we're shifting gears. We're taking a look at Solana dApp marketplaces, and to make sense of the complex plumbing behind these platforms, we're going to use an architectural blueprint analogy. We'll be mapping out exactly how different marketplaces structure their data so you can build absolutely bulletproof integrations. So here's our technical schematic for today. We'll start with a welcome to the marketplace landscape, move right into our mental model, examine 3 specific archetypes you're going to encounter out in the wild, walk through the integration lifecycle, and finally wrap up with your adapter design. Section 1. Welcome to the marketplace. Okay, let's dive into this. When you first set out to integrate your decentralized app with a Solana marketplace, it can honestly feel a bit like trying to orchestrate a symphony in the middle of a tornado. I mean, you've got a chaotic mess of matching data, managing transactions, verifying metadata, and tracking ownership across incredibly diverse platform architectures. To bring some actual order to that chaos, we have to define 3 fundamental structural variables. First, where do listings actually live? Are they on-chain accounts, or are they sitting in off-chain databases? Second, how are they found by users? And third, who actually holds custody of the assets during the sale? If we don't clearly define these 3 variables for the specific marketplace we're targeting, well, we risk building assumptions into our dApp that fundamentally mismatch the marketplace's operational model. And as you probably know, in Web3, architectural mismatches usually lead to lost funds or just completely broken user experiences.
Section 2. The marketplace mental model.
To answer those 3 variables we just laid out, we need to transition into our architectural blueprint. Now, the absolute most important rule when conceptualizing your integration is that you must completely separate the concept of discovery from the concept of custody. First up in this blueprint, we've got the library catalog. This is your discovery layer. It's almost always an off-chain indexer, like a GraphQL API, which is essentially just a query language that lets your app easily ask a database for exactly the data it needs. It's optimized for lightning-fast queries, text searches, and rich UI filtering. Basically, it's the place your users are browsing when they scroll through a grid of NFTs. But here is the golden rule you absolutely must remember. Don't trust the library catalog with your money. It's fantastic for searching, sure, but using it as your source of truth for transactions, that's kind of like trusting a restaurant's Yelp review to tell you if your credit card payment actually went through.
Next up in our blueprint is the checkout desk. You can think of this as the marketplace's ordering engine and its policy layer. This is where the actual marketplace program lives on Solana. It's the logic that processes your buy and sell instructions, strictly enforces the platform's trading rules, calculates all the royalties and fees, and mediates the actual auction itself.
And finally, we have the vault. This represents absolute asset custody. Whether it's a canonical on-chain token account, a program-derived account holding funds in escrow, or even a centralized custodial database, the vault is the ultimate source of truth for ownership and settlement. Simply put, the vault is the authoritative state. And this brings us to the core tension of marketplace integration, balancing derived state against authoritative state. The library catalog, that's derived state. It's fast, but it can lag behind the blockchain. The vault, on the other hand, is authoritative state. It is mathematically verified, but querying it at scale can be pretty slow. If you confuse the two, you induce the classic Web3 developer heart attack. You know the one, my UI says I bought it, but my wallet says otherwise. We want to avoid that panic at all costs.
Section 3. 3 marketplace archetypes.
Now we're going to take our blueprint, the catalog, the desk, and the vault, and actually map it on to the 3 real-world marketplace structures you'll integrate with on Solana. Let's walk through this like a chief engineer reading a technical spec sheet. In a centralized model, listings live in an off-chain database, discovery is completely API-driven, and the marketplace acts as the vault holding custody. In a fully on-chain model, the listings exist entirely as program state, you discover them by querying Solana accounts directly, and ownership flows via direct on-chain transfer. Finally, we have the hybrid model, which is incredibly common. This uses on-chain events for listings, an off-chain GraphQL indexer for discovery, and executes the final ownership transfers strictly on-chain. Notice how each archetype completely shifts the technical responsibilities of your catalog, desk, and vault, particularly that ownership flow. That's your most critical technical pivot.
So to summarize the core trade-offs you're making here, centralized markets give you blisteringly fast user experiences but demand that you trust their custody model.
On-chain markets provide absolute canonical truth, but, saddle you with slower, more expensive queries. Hybrid markets offer rich search capabilities, but introduce the headache of eventual consistency, where the indexer might lag a bit behind the chain. Navigating these specific architectural nuances, by the way, is a core part of the deep dive problem solving in the programs we teach at Forge College. It really is all about picking the right tool for the job.
Section 4. The integration life cycle. Let's ground all this theory with a really concrete scenario. Imagine you're building an NFT minting dApp, and you need to integrate it so your assets can be published, discovered, and bought across all three of these marketplace archetypes simultaneously without totally confusing your end user. Notice how your code fundamentally changes at each of these 4 steps depending on the archetype you're targeting. For step 1, your publication strategy, pushing to a centralized platform just means firing off an HTTP API request. But for a hybrid or decentralized platform, publication means emitting a canonical on-chain event. For discovery, you might be hitting a REST endpoint, or you might be establishing WebSocket connections to listen for program logs. And for the purchase flow, you're either trusting an API receipt or you are mathematically verifying an on-chain token account transfer. I really want to focus deeply on step 4 of that life cycle, reconciliation. When you're dealing with hybrid marketplaces in particular, your indexer is eventually consistent. That means the library catalog will occasionally disagree with the vault. It happens. Your adapter absolutely must be engineered to routinely cross-check the indexer's output against canonical on-chain reads. If the GraphQL API says an item is available, but the on-chain token account shows a new owner, your reconciliation logic has to catch that mismatch before your user tries to execute a failed transaction.
And this brings us to a massive, non-negotiable user experience rule. Transparency is key. You cannot just abstract away the reality of blockchain latency from your users entirely. If an indexer is lagging behind the on-chain vault, show a transient pending state. Visually mark items so the user understands exactly what data they're looking at. Managing expectations directly in the UI significantly reduces user panic when a transaction takes a few extra seconds to finalize on-chain.
Section 5. Wrapping up your adapter. So, the crucial point here is taking this architectural blueprint we've just explored and translating it back into the concrete code modules you're going to build in our very next lesson. Let's quickly run through these primary takeaways. Always separate your discovery logic from your custody logic. Before you let a user execute a critical action, like clicking a Buy Now button, verify the authoritative state on-chain. Make sure the adapter pattern you are coding actually matches the marketplace archetype. So don't build an on-chain watcher for a centralized REST API, right? And finally, treat reconciliation not as an afterthought, but as a first-class mission-critical component of your entire integration architecture. I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on before we start coding. Look at the specific marketplaces you are planning to support. Based on their structural archetypes, exactly which endpoints, which event subscriptions, and what specific reconciliation checks is your custom adapter going to need? Take some time to map that out. Thanks for joining me today for this explainer. Be sure to visit forge.college to master more Web3 development topics, explore our advanced courses, and just continue building out your engineering toolkit. I will see you in the next explainer where we actually start writing the adapter code.